morning chaps, today we're making white bread. To a bowl I'm measuring out 7 grams of yeast and I'll put that to the side. In a large mixing bowl, measure out 500 grams of strong bread flour, add your dry yeast and 2 teaspoons of salt. Give that a good stir, make a well in the middle, and then add 3 tablespoons of an oil of your choice. I use sunflower. Then I'm going to add 300 milliliters of water. I'm going to give this a mix, and when the dough is shaggy, flour your work surface and tip it out. Now we're going to knead for about 10 minutes. If your dough is too wet, add some flour. If it's getting too dry and crumbly, add some water. After kneading for about 10 minutes, your dough is going to get smooth to the touch, so we're going to grab a bowl, we're going to lightly oil it and cover it in cling film and let it rest for an hour. It should about double in size. After that, we're going to punch the air out of the dough, pull it in on itself to make it into a ball and place onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Then I'm going to let it rise for an additional hour. Before making bread, I would next time check if your yeast is active. So in another bowl, maybe get some yeast, add some water and a pinch of sugar. If it bubbles and reacts, your yeast is alive. Mine was dead, so what did I do to combat this? Well, we could substitute equal parts baking powder to the yeast. So I'm kneaded in the baking powder, so about 7 grams of baking powder, into my yeast. Baking powder is known to rise quicker, so I did keep an eye on my dough as it was rising. After your dough's risen, we're going to dust it with some flour and then cut across the dough with a very sharp knife to make these 3 lovely lines. We now have the oven preheated to 200 degrees and we're going to bake for about 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown. And we're going to take it out, we're going to let it cool on a wire rack. So as you can see now, the dough's come out, so even though I did have dead yeast, I still got my rise, and I guess I'd still get a bit of that bready flavour, because even though my yeast was dead, it was still there in the dough, but I don't know if it released all the carbon dioxide, which it definitely didn't because it was dead. But either way, even though the inside isn't as fluffy as I would like, this is a simple recipe that uses about 4 ingredients and definitely beats store-bought bread. I mean, everyone has baking powder if you bake cakes, so you don't even need the yeast really. Right, now for a little taste test. I mean, this bread, it just looks amazing. For a simple white bread, have it with some jam, have it with some toast, make some French toast with it. You can do anything with this bread. It's just straight up godly looking, it's godly tasting, simple. I'm telling you, get a slice, sprinkle some salt on there, take a bite, it's just delicious. This crust is banging, it's crisp, it's beautiful. There's just something about making bread. It's a more caring process than traditional foods, and I will be definitely making some more epic sandwiches with this. So stay tuned for that. See you later, chaps. Goodbye.